I'm here in Leicester South with Shockat Adam, independent candidate. How are you doing, Shockat?
Yeah, really well, thanks. Thanks for coming over to sunny Leicester.
Yeah, it's a bit grey, but you've brought the sun out on this road. I mean, I keep seeing your poster everywhere. There's a lot of support for you around here, and you've been campaigning since January, haven't you?
Yeah, we've had this since the last 7 months, and it's been an absolute phenomenal response. You can see a lot of the businesses, a lot of the residents here are really rooting for something completely independent and different from what they've been used to in the past.
And you've got a big task if you are going to win this seat, because Jonathan Ashworth, obviously, is a Labour frontbencher. He's got some recognition, and he's got a majority. It's quite a substantial majority. Can you tell us what the challenge is for you here?
Look, I'm in no doubt of the challenge that's in front of me. John has been in power for 13 years in this constituency. It's a very safe Labour stronghold, and it's a 22,000 majority I need to overturn. I come from a scientific background. I know it sounds difficult, but it is achievable, it is doable, and we will be doing it on creating history on the 4th of July. We have been working tirelessly. We have a community from all backgrounds that are essentially fed up of two-party solution that we've had. There's no difference between the two. The chasm between the two is completely invisible, really. So there's been that general feeling for a little while.
I've never been that interested in politics, to be honest. I've always been, I'm too busy with my life or whatever. But I think seeing that nothing's been done and there's so much happening in the world and our voice just isn't getting heard, I think it's important to vote for someone who's willing to listen.
But since Gaza happened and the lack of any form of response from the Labour Party as an opposition, as a traditional party that has vocalised the concerns of the community, there has been a galvanising of so many people that there is a real momentum and a feeling that they want something different, and they feel that this is the moment to take that opportunity and really be the change that they want to see.
I think the Palestine thing's woken up a lot of us, because we've seen that when there's no ceasefire, we're asking for a ceasefire, no one wants to do a ceasefire, so that's Labour. Tories, they don't want to do a ceasefire, so that's kind of opened us up and saying that we're seeing all this, what's happening in Gaza right now, and no one wants to put a stop to it.
COVID was massive. The way that Leicester was in lockdown for a lot longer than other cities, and there was this rhetoric that it's because of minorities that the disease is spreading. Yet this city, and I was part of an initiative that really ensured that the Muslim community in particular really respected the regulations of COVID during funeral time, and why people were respecting the law, respecting the social distancing. Our government was having a party, and the level of betrayal and let-down feeling that we had as a community is undescribable. And then finally Gaza happened, and at that situation we have a sitting MP who enjoys a 22,000 majority, as we just discussed, yet couldn't release even a statement in defence of what was happening to the children of Gaza by the end of October, by which time I had gone to see him and asked him simply just to call for a ceasefire. And when the opportunity in November to call for a ceasefire, the initial SNP motion, he abstained. And I think at that stage, many people who have traditionally voted for the Labour Party decided that we needed a complete change.
Gaza's one of them that's been the wake-up call for me.
What was it about Gaza, do you think? That's because we hear this all the time, but what was it specific? I think you mentioned that it was a ceasefire.
What our MP did, and he abstained. That really enraged me.
Well, it's really interesting to see so many people involved in supporting the Palestinians as well in this community. I mean, there's a road here that has flags after flags of Palestine there. I mean, are the protests in Leicester, are they really big? What's your feeling about this issue?
And there's roads like that. There's roads like that, and it doesn't matter which area of the city you go into. And Leicester South itself is pretty diverse, and we have roads where there's flags and there's Palestinian recognition signs. We have had countless marches. We've had thousands at our protests, and there's been. The best thing about it has been that it's not just one group of people at these events. It's multiracial, it doesn't matter what religion, what creed, and it's really heartening to see that this is a humanitarian issue. Children are being killed. You know, as we speak, I think the number is about just over 50,000 people have been, men, women and children have been killed that we know of, and over which 16,000 have been children. So it's humanity is calling out, humanity is crying out. So when we represent for the people of Gaza, it's not just one race or one religion. It's a blot on humanity. And for me, what's really heartbreaking is we've got elections at the moment, yet that doesn't seem to be on the agenda. It doesn't seem to be a question that arises at all. It's as if in our lifetime, as we're witnessing and sitting, a genocide is happening and nobody wants to talk about it. And that is, I think, a frustration that the people in the Leicester South in particular are feeling, that their voice is just not being heard.
Yeah, I mean, the protests and the petitions are trying to get the MP to respond to any kind of correspondence. And if they're not doing that, then the only thing that can be done is to stand as for Parliament and try to make a difference that way. Is that kind of where we are now?
Yeah, I mean, it's a cliche, isn't it? We have to be the change we want to see.
I mean, we're here in Leicester South. I mean, you're a constituent of Jonathan Ashworth. I'm just wondering, what do you think about his behaviour as an MP towards the Gaza issue and other issues? What would you like to say about Jonathan Ashworth?
I think that there's a major impact on what's happening with foreign policy at this moment in time. I understand that Jonathan Ashworth was heading up south of Leicester. Unfortunately, our voices weren't heard. We're looking for someone who can represent us from the ground, someone who can voice our opinions forward. I think a lot of the narratives from national government are lost in terms of what they understand of what the public want. And I think it's time that we actually had a change, and a real change, someone that comes in with a fresh pair of eyes and actually speaks on behalf of the public. And as a business owner, I don't believe I've had the support with the recent COVID, Brexit and inflation. I think, you know, with all the changes they're trying to make with minimum wage increases and trying to support, it's not actually working, because you've got to be on the ground to understand that if the minimum wage goes up, we need to have that kind of business in order to be able to support our staff. And if we don't, we're just going to end up reducing our staff, which is then going to increase unemployment. As
a business owner, we need a huge amount of support. And you speak to any independent owner, and most businesses fold in the first 3 years of establishment. So therefore, we require, you go to our town centre, it's unfortunately a shadow of what it used to be. We need complete business regeneration. We need outside expansive thinking. We need to change things to more sort of service industry. There's so many ideas that I have as a business owner that we would need to implement locally and nationally because austerity, lack of money, people can't spend anymore, it's affecting everybody.
Leicester has gone downhill. If you look at our city centre, it used to be such a beautiful, vibrant city. You could take the car, travel into the city centre easily. There was lots of accessible routes. Over the years, through Labour, those routes have been cut off and pedestrianised, and that takes away the customers away from city centre. That means the businesses are going downhill. There's not enough access to the business.
Do you think that's to do with our Labour council?
Yes.
And what do you feel when we've got like a red Leicester City where every MP was Labour? And then you've got a Labour council. Accountability is a bit...
Everything. It's the whole thing. It's the whole thing, and I've had enough of it.
Did you used to vote, if you don't mind?
I used to, but not anymore. No, my husband and I, that's it, we've left.
One of my mantras that I really behold to is Abraham Lincoln's, that if I had 5 hours to chop a tree, I'd spend 3 hours sharpening the axe. So we have been working on this campaign for the last 6-7 months, and we've got a real infrastructure. We've got a policy team, we've got a social media team, we've got an operation team, we've got a data team, we've got volunteers on the ground. So we've been working on that. We've had that on the ground going. Ideally, we may have liked a couple of more weeks, but nothing focuses a mind like a deadline, and we are where we are. 4th of July is what? Independence Day, and I'm an independent candidate, and we're going to win it on that day.
Right. Well, I have to say this to Canberra. If you are anywhere near Leicester South and you want to see a change that will shape politics, it would be to come here and support Shockat Adam, because what we've got is a massive opportunity to show both the main parties, and especially Labour, that they can't take this vote for granted. They can't take our vote for granted.